The power of mindset lies in the understanding that how we perceive the world and respond to challenges directly influences the course of our lives. Our mindset is the lens through which we view every situation, and it shapes how we interpret events, success, and failure. Often people wait for external conditions to improve before they can be happy, successful, or content. However, this mindset leaves us feeling powerless and dependent on factors we cannot always control. This mental shift can transform the way we approach problems, relationships, and goals. It allows us to focus on solutions rather than dwelling on limitations. When we adopt a mindset of possibility, we begin to recognize the potential within us to overcome difficulties, to take risks, and to move toward our aspirations with confidence. Taking responsibility means fully acknowledging that you are the author of your life. It means understanding that every decision you make, every action you take, and every response you give is a reflection of your own choices. Many people fall into the trap of blaming external factors, such as other people, circumstances, or their past, for their current situation. This mindset can leave you feeling helpless and stuck, as if you're at the mercy of things beyond your control. However, true empowerment begins when you accept that you have control over your thoughts, actions, and reactions. This sense of personal responsibility also means that you stop making excuses. Instead of focusing on what's wrong or why something won't work, you focus on what you can do in the present to move closer to your goals. It's about shifting from a reactive mindset where you feel controlled by life to a proactive one where you take charge of the direction you're heading. When you accept responsibility, you also open the door to real change because you stop waiting for someone or something else to make things better. You realize it starts with you. When you take responsibility for your life, you stop waiting for others to change or for perfect circumstances to appear. You recognize that no matter what happens, your ability to choose how you respond is always in your hands. Responsibility isn't about assigning blame or feeling guilt. It's about owning your power and understanding that your actions have the ability to create a ripple effect. It means realizing that while you can't control everything that happens to you, you can control how you move forward, how you learn from setbacks, and how you grow from challenges. The stories we tell ourselves shape every aspect of our life, from the moment we wake up in the morning to the way we approach our goals, relationships, and challenges. The narrative we construct in our minds acts as a filter for how we experience the world. These stories are not always conscious, and many are built from the beliefs we've gathered over years of life experiences. Some of these stories empower us, while others keep us stuck in patterns of fear, doubt. For example, you may have a story about success, believing that you can only achieve something if you have the right resources, or you might tell yourself that failure is a sign that you're not good enough. Alternatively, you might have a story that says you must always be perfect to be accepted, or that the world is unfair and success is reserved for a lucky few. These beliefs often create a self-fulfilling prophecy where the actions you take or don't take are shaped by what you believe to be possible for you. Changing the story you tell yourself can have a profound impact. It involves recognizing that many of the beliefs you hold about yourself and your potential are not truths, but rather interpretations or assumptions you've made about your past experiences. Once you realize that these stories are not fixed, you can begin to rewrite them. Instead of identifying as someone who's not good enough or incapable, you can shift your story to one of strength, resilience, and potential. This transformation doesn't require you to change the events in your life, but it does require a shift in how you interpret them. The story you tell yourself about failure can be rewritten from "I failed, therefore I'm a failure," to "I failed, and now I have learned what doesn't work, which brings me closer to success." The story you tell about challenges can shift from "this is too hard" to "this is an opportunity for growth and learning." Our personal stories are fluid, and when we change them, we open up new possibilities for growth, achievement, and fulfillment. The power of stories also plays a role in how we connect with others. We often adopt the narratives of those around us, believing the stories they tell us about ourselves or about life in general. The media, family, friends, and society often influence the stories we believe. However, recognizing that these stories are not absolute truths gives us the power to choose the narrative that best serves us. It empowers us to tell a story of success, abundance, and possibility, rather than one of limitation or defeat. A shift in perspective can dramatically change the way we experience life. It's the moment when we stop seeing a situation through a fixed lens and start to view it through a broader, more empowering one, our perspective determines how we interpret everything that happens to us, our challenges, our relationships, and even our successes. If we see the world as a place full of threats and obstacles, we'll live in constant fear and stress. But if we shift our perspective to one where challenges are opportunities for growth and learning, we begin to navigate life with a sense of possibility and resilience. A shift in perspective can dramatically change the way we experience life. It's the moment when we stop seeing a situation through a fixed lens and start to view it through a broader, more empowering one. Our perspective determines how we interpret everything that happens to us, our challenges, our relationships, and even our successes. If we see the world as a place full of threats and obstacles, we'll live in constant fear and stress. But if we shift our perspective to one where challenges are opportunities for growth and learning, we begin to navigate life with a sense of possibility and resilience. Furthermore, this shift allows us to look at others in a different light. Instead of seeing people as obstacles, competitors, or sources of frustration, we start to recognize them as fellow travelers on the same journey. We realize that everyone has their own struggles, perspectives, and challenges, and by seeing things from their point of view, we gain deeper empathy, connection, and understanding. It helps us foster stronger relationships and a sense of community because we stop focusing on what divides us and start focusing on what unites us. This shift also means moving away from the victim mentality that many of us unconsciously adopt. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that we are at the mercy of circumstances beyond our control. However, changing our perspective allows us to step into a more empowered space. We begin to realize that while we cannot always control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. Life may not always be fair, but we can choose to see unfairness as an opportunity to grow stronger, more resilient, and more resourceful. The decision to change is one of the most powerful and defining moments in anyone's life. It is not merely about deciding to make small adjustments or improvements. It is about making a commitment to transform your life at a fundamental level. This decision is often the turning point where everything shifts, because it marks the moment when you choose to take control of your destiny. It's about no longer waiting for things to improve on their own or expecting circumstances to magically align. It's about deciding that you will no longer be a passive observer in your own life, but an active participant in creating the reality you want. When you make the decision to change, you are taking responsibility for your future. You are recognizing that your current situation is not fixed, that it does not define you, and that you have the ability to reshape your life. This decision is not based on external circumstances or the actions of others. It is purely an internal choice to step into a new version of yourself. It is a conscious commitment to growth, to breaking free from the limitations that have held you back, and to pushing past the fears and doubts that have kept you stagnant. The decision to change also involves letting go of old beliefs, habits, and patterns that no longer serve you. For many, this means stepping outside their comfort zone and facing discomfort, uncertainty, and fear. It requires courage to break free from what feels familiar, even if it isn't serving your highest potential. Once you decide to change, the excuses, the justifications, and the reasons for staying where you are lose their power. It's no longer about waiting for the right time or perfect conditions. It's about taking bold, purposeful action regardless of the obstacles in your way. This decision can be overwhelming because it often forces you to confront the parts of yourself that you've been avoiding or neglecting. It asks you to evaluate your past choices and to take ownership of the paths you've walked, whether they were filled with success or failure. The decision to change isn't just about external transformations. It's also an internal revolution. It's about shifting your mindset, redefining your self-worth, and aligning your beliefs and actions with the person you aspire to be. In many cases, the decision to change comes when we've reached a point of dissatisfaction or discomfort. We find ourselves facing the truth that things are not working, that we've outgrown the life we've been living, and that we must evolve. But it's not enough to simply acknowledge that we need change. The decision to change requires a commitment to take consistent action toward that transformation. It means developing the discipline and resilience to continue moving forward even when things get tough and even when progress feels slow. The key is in the consistency of the decision, the choice to keep choosing change every single day. Ultimately, the decision to change is what empowers us to begin living with intention to create the life we want rather than simply accepting the life we have. It sets the stage for everything that follows because it's the first step toward reclaiming control and creating a future that aligns with our deepest desires and values. Once you make that decision, it's like a door opening to endless possibilities, each one waiting for you to step through with conviction and purpose. One of the most powerful shifts in perspective is recognizing that the things we perceive as problems may not be problems at all. They are simply situations that we can approach in different ways. Instead of viewing difficulties as roadblocks, a shift in perspective allows us to see them as stepping stones on the path to greater understanding, skill, and personal development. When we stop labeling things as good or bad and instead simply see them as events that can be interpreted differently, we free ourselves from the constraints of negative thinking. Focusing on potential means shifting your attention from what you perceive as limitations to what is possible within you. Most people spend much of their lives concentrating on their weaknesses, their past mistakes, or the challenges in front of them, which often leads to feelings of inadequacy or hopelessness. When you focus on potential, you begin to see yourself not as a finished product, but as a work in progress with endless possibilities. It's about understanding that the future you desire isn't determined by where you are right now, but by what you're willing to believe about your own capabilities and your willingness to take action toward that future. This mindset is incredibly empowering because it encourages growth rather than resignation. Instead of dwelling on the things that are not working, you start to see opportunities to develop, to learn new skills, and to discover strengths that you might not have even realized you had. By focusing on your potential, you move away from a fixed mindset, where you see your abilities and intelligence as set in stone, and into a growth mindset, where you understand that everything can be developed with effort, time, and learning. This shift in focus helps you tap into your creativity, your problem-solving abilities, and your resilience. You stop asking, what's wrong with me, and start asking, what can I do with what I have? The more you focus on your potential, the more you activate it. You start seeing the small steps, the opportunities for learning, the ways to grow, and how every experience, no matter how difficult, can move you closer to the person you're meant to become. Focusing on potential also helps you transcend fear. When you believe in your capacity for growth, fear becomes less of an obstacle. Instead of allowing the fear of failure to stop you, you start using that fear as a signal that you're stepping into unknown territory, territory that offers the possibility for great transformation. It becomes less about avoiding failure and more about embracing the process, knowing that each step forward, regardless of the outcome, brings you closer to realizing your full potential. This focus on potential doesn't just apply to personal growth. It extends to how you view the world around you. When you focus on potential, you start to see the potential in others as well. You begin to see people not just for where they are, but for who they could become. This shift allows you to foster more positive, supportive relationships as you encourage others to step into their own potential, just as you are learning to step into yours. Instead of comparing yourself to others, you start to recognize that we all have different paths and that everyone, including you, has the ability to grow and evolve. When action is driven by belief, it becomes purposeful and powerful. The beliefs you hold about yourself and your abilities directly influence the actions you take in life. Belief is the foundation upon which all progress is built. If you believe that you are capable, resilient, and worthy of success, the actions you take will reflect that confidence, and you will approach challenges with the mindset of someone who expects to succeed. On the other hand, if you hold limiting beliefs, such as thinking you're not good enough or that you'll never be able to change, your actions will be hesitant, uncertain, and fueled by fear. Belief shapes the energy and intention behind every step you take. When you focus on potential, you also begin to see that every failure, every setback, and every challenge is not something that defines you, but something that teaches you. It's no longer about the result, but about the process, the growth that occurs as you work through obstacles. Instead of seeing mistakes as a reflection of your limitations, you begin to see them as essential parts of the journey, as feedback that informs your next steps. Here's the truth. You have the power to change your reality in an instant. It's not the external circumstances that define your success. It's the mindset you carry. The moment you decide that you're no longer a victim of your past and that every challenge is an opportunity for growth, everything shifts. Don't wait for the right moment, because the right moment is now. Change the way you think and you'll change the way you live. Step into your power. Make the decision today that you're in control, and from this moment forward, let your mindset shape the life you've always dreamed of.